tomorrow's Leroy's birthday.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow, that's right. He'll be, how old will he be?
I think 41.
Oh yeah, you wanted me to get the light thing.
Yeah, get the light. Leroy will be 41.
41.
Oh my goodness.
47 and 88.
He born in 47?
Yeah.
You're 41.
41. He's younger than,
Huh?
he's younger than who? I was thinking of Tom, my brother-in-law. Yeah.
Well, what do you want me to start on?
Why don't you tell us about, your mother and your dad and your grandfather, and go back as far as you can.
I don't know. I didn't know my grandmother.
Which one was that now?
My mom's mother.
That was, Nicotia?
Mm-hmm.
Nicotai,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
She died before Mom got married.
Oh, okay.
Mom was 9 years old when she died. And Mom was the oldest. Mom had to take care of the kids. And her dad never married no more.
Is that right? How many was in your mom's family?
Well, I think there was 5 with Mom.
5?
Uh-huh. It was George, I think there was Arzoni was her name, and George was her brother, and Pat was her brother, and Jane was her sister, and Leonie was her sister.
And they were all Mullins.
Yeah. They was the Mullins.
What it was about that? Now, you got a light bulb I could use, Frank? Like anything. I just want to make sure it's not showing it needs any light, but I don't think it is.
Am I in your way?
No, you're fine. You're fine.
What?
So I guess all of them's dead now.
Are they?
On Mom's side.
Everything on your mom's side?
Well, not the relations.
No, but I mean,
Her brothers and sisters.
yeah.
So I don't know too much about my daddy.
Now, what was your mom's side? They were Mullinses.
Yeah, they was
Now-
Mullins.
You know what your grandmother on your mom's side, what her maiden name was? Nicotai?
Put that in the same thing.
Not right off in hand, Faith.
Was she originally from around Kentucky there, or did she come in from?
Must have been, I don't know. She was related to the Cherokee Indians.
Yeah.
That's where I get my Indian at.
Mm-hmm.
I may not look it, but it runs in the blood.
Runs in the blood, yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't know, you see, if I
Here, I'll
did
get down there and
this,
put that in for you,
coming up
or
like
can you make
this,
it?
I could have maybe had little information.
What's that again, Mother?
I said if I know this coming up to, now,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I could have had a little more information. I've got a cousin down there in Elkhorn. He lives the way you go to the breaks. They call him Tiny Mullins.
Mm-hmm.
Tiny.
Yeah.
And he probably would know. He works on the cemetery down there at Elkhorn.
Does he?
So I do know my grandma was short. My daddy's mother, I think she was Cantrell.
And she was from around where?
I don't know where she was from Dickinson County or not, but my grandpa was, I think.
That was on your father's side.
Yeah. And I had an uncle lived up in Virginia. He lived in Virginia all I ever knew him.
Where did he live? You have
Pound, Virginia.
Over at Pound?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he, see, that was his son that was starting that family tree, and he died.
Mm-hmm.
He's been dead a year or either 2 years now, James has.
Mm-hmm.
So his wife's still living. I called up one day and Violet told me. I think, no, Margaret told me that he died.
Mm-hmm.
They took one leg off, and then the next day they was going to take the other one off, and he died.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, that would have been your cousin
Yeah,
on your,
on my daddy's side.
yeah. But when did Grandpa Short, when he come to Kentucky?
I don't know. Can't tell
Did he
you.
come over as a young man, or?
He must have been,
Yeah.
because Mom said she was going green picking when she met Dad.
How old was she? Any idea?
I don't remember. I don't know whether she told me or not. You know.
Mhm. Do you have any idea how old she was when she got married?
No, I don't. Not offhand, I don't. What I should have asked her,
Yeah.
you know.
Mhm.
But she had one baby dead. You know, one boy. And
Was that the oldest, or?
no, there was Hester's oldest, and then I was next in Bewley. And I don't know where that was after Hyman or before,
Mhm.
as a boy. And I know we called it the blue baby. Mom used to diaper him. He didn't live very long. And I'd tell Mom I was a little bitty girl, you know, and I didn't realize. And he'd cry, and I said, Mom, quit hurting him. Mom says, well, I'm not hurting him. He cried a lot,
Mhm.
you know. Yeah.
Well, where did Grandma and Grandpa Short live when they first got married? Have any idea?
Well, I don't know, but my grandpa, he lived up around Kittle Camp.
No, that's Grandpa Mullins.
No. My mom lived up there in East End.
Oh, okay. Now your mom's family was in the east end of Elkhorn.
That's right.
Okay, and your father's family was up on Kittle
Kittle
Camp.
Camp.
Oh, okay. In other
And-
words, your father come from Virginia over to
I
Kittle
don't
Camp, and
know.
probably as a boy with his father
Probably did.
and with the rest of the family. Oh, okay.
Probably did, but you see, Mom and them, I can remember being to Grandpa Mage was his name, Mage Mullins.
Mage Mullins.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And he lived in the East End, and I can remember of being to his house. And I think Mom was there, and Uncle George going to work, and he used to have a bunch of cats, you know, and I used to be a cat lover. I did.
No wonder my kids like them cats.
And Mom's dad gave Mom some kittens, maybe a mother cat and kittens, I don't remember, but we took them home in a picnic basket. And I raised the lid, you know, it had one of these flat lids ready to, of course they could get air now, they wanted to look out. Mom said, hey, you'll let them cats out. But I remember going to Grandpa's house, and the house kind of set the, you know, long ways, and the door was sure knocking. I can remember seeing Uncle George going to work with his lunch bucket.
Yeah.
We was at Grandpa Mullins's up there, and I used to stay with Uncle Pat and Aunt Berthy up there in East End. I just stayed with them for a long time, and then she got a big carbuncle boil on her hand, and she couldn't do nothing. And Dad come to see me, you know, and she says, now you're not going to want to go home with you. And I said, oh no. Dad had in the morning got out and got on the horse home. I went to Baldwin.
I wanted to go home. Huh?
Oh, I went.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah. She could really cook, Aunt Bertha could.
Now, that would be Aunt Berthy. She was a Mullins.
No, she was a Potter.
But she married a Potter, or?
No, she was Potter before she was married, and she married my uncle.
Oh, she married your uncle.
Uh-huh.
Oh, okay.
Patsy.
Patsy.
Patsy Mullins.
I see.
She died, and then he died.
Yeah.
And my cousin lives up there in East End. They call him Tiny Mullins.
Mm-hmm.
And he works on the cemetery.
That's the one there in Elkhorn?
He lives up there in East End. You know, just after you go on the east end and going towards the breaks,
Yeah.
they kind of like a holler, like it comes down and you'll leave that and you'll start the bank up, you know.
Mhm.
Pat lived up on the hill, way up on the hill, and I asked Tiny one day, I said, who lives in the old house where your dad and mom live? Said, nobody. Said, Connie is, Tiny's wife. Said, Connie and I, we built us a brick home. He said, his brother lives around from his daddy's house. See, like his daddy's house was here, and then his brother had to live out that way. So Tiny must went around this way. But Tiny told me, he said, if you ever get down near any of it, you sure better stop and stay all night. They've got 3 kids, I think, 2 girls and a boy, and I think one of the girls graduated, and then the boy, he's 10 or 12. That was back in the good old days. And I used to stay with Uncle Pat and Aunt Bertha in the big tree. They lived in the company houses, mining. And there's a big tree, but you had a good walk down, and there was a big tree. And there was a big spring down there, and there's where you had to go get your water. I would in the morning go down and get that water, and be to the house. Aunt Bertha'd see a black person going after water. She'd pour the water in something, you know. I always kept a lot of things to keep water in. She'd say, go get another bucket of water. I would not. I'd go down, but I'd just sit down and wait till they got their water and left. And then while Aunt Bertha had that, I wasn't old enough to take care of a sore or nothing. I could wash and this, but I didn't know nothing about that. Bertha had a good friend, a black friend, you know, and you'd go down and go a ways, and there's houses on both sides, and I'd go to the company store, and them black kids get after me, boy, I'd drive my crazy.
Were there a lot of black people lived in that
Yeah.
area then? They worked in the coal mines?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, yeah, the company store, you know, but you'd go down, you know how the bridge went across
The old steel bridge that went across the river there.
the store, I'd say, but the store was on this side.
On the left side, going towards the breaks?
Yeah.
Okay, that'd be probably on the east side, or the west side then.
And I'd go down there to the store. Well, Bertha had a friend that lived down there, and she told me one day, she said, go down there and get her, or tell her I wanted to come up and dress my hand. Well, the lady was making a bed. And I stood at the door, and she says, oh, come on in if you want to. Said, I won't hurt you. I didn't go in. I just stood there. But I can remember going to, see, I was little, but I can remember. I can remember back when I was, Mom said I wore diapers till I was about 2 years old. And I can remember when Dad and them was building the house.
The old home place?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah?
And the house down below Dad, they redone it since Grandpa's done. We lived up on the bank a little bit from Grandpa. Now, I don't know why, but Dad owned that farm, 40 acres, more or less, both sides. And there was a big old mulberry tree over, big one. I always liked mulberries. Mom and Dad was up in the field hoeing corn, and they took us up under that mulberry tree, and Mom had milk and bread in a bucket if we wanted to eat. I seen a big black snake. I didn't know what that thing was crawling around. And I went to crying. Boy, I just screaming. And I wanted to Hester to get it. You get that. I want that.
You wanted that black snake to play with.
Mom come down and heard me a-crying. And, what's wrong with her? Said, she wants that snake. That was the day we got moved. Dad had a roof on the house.
Yeah.
He didn't have no porch or nothing. That was the day we went to the house. I can remember it just like it was today.
And you were what?
Good
Well,
morning.
hello
Good morning.
there. How you doing, Cheryl?
You out running around too, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was,
Oh, my aunt.
you've been in the house, haven't you?
Uh-huh.
Well, fireplace here, you know, and over there was the window, and Mom and them drove a nail on the wall there, hanging a bucket of milk. And I wanted to go, Hester had to go to the bathroom. She had to climb out, and Dad had no round bee gum. He always had bees. And he got out on the bee gum, Hester did, and she had to use the bathroom, and there I was, I'd pooped on myself, and she couldn't get back in. Every time she'd get on that bee gum, it drove.
Is
Like
oh,
that.
is that right?
And this lady lived on the creek, her name's, there's Aunt Mary Sykes, I think we called her Aunt Mary and Uncle Harv. And she lived up the road, she always rode a horse out, and I said, Hester, ain't that woman, get them coming to help you in. And I can remember laying back on the floor and letting Hester clean me.
Oh, is that right? You
I
were young.
wasn't 2 years old.
You got a good memory then.
Mom said that I wore diapers till I was almost 2.
Is that right?
But now I was wearing diapers.
Mm-hmm.
And I was raised in a cornfield. I was born in March, and Mom went to the cornfield with me, and she'd take me to one end, she'd hold me ways, and she'd go get me, take me to the other end.
Is that right?
Yeah. Then she'd hold about middle ways the row,
Come
then
back.
she'd go get me and put me on the end.
No kidding.
Yeah. Oh, I had a rough life. Used to go up on the field, hold up the corn. You'd have to carry your dirt on the hoe.
Yeah.
You have to dig a place to stand in.
That was a life, though. It
Yeah.
was tough, but I bet you really appreciated it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Try to get Hester, you know, go to the field. No, I don't want to get in that old dirt.
That's
I'm
true.
not going. She'd stay at the house and wash clothes and cook
Yeah.
the dinner. And Mom would go away and she'd go to the field if we didn't go. Now, don't you just go to bed now, you get this work done. They'd go early, you know. Oh, I'd crawl on that bed, you know, and they'd watch. One each morning and get in the bed, take her nap. Yeah.
Sure, you can walk in front of that. You ain't go.
One time Mom says, well, I'm going to the mountain now to pick huckleberries, Dad and I. Now, Emmy, you go back in the other way now, quit
I
going
came
around.
from that way.
Well, you just go that way, quit doing this. But anyway, they went to the mountain to pick huckleberries. And Mom says, now you do them dishes up. Well, you know, we had oil lamps, and when we didn't have oil lamps, we had pine. I like to go in the hills and hunt the pine trees where they'd upset and dig down in the ground and get the pine, and we'd lay it on lead and have a light. Well, long before daylight, you know, because they'd go down below Kittletown and go up in the mountain. Just before you cross the last bridge, it's just a little bridge, you know, our bridge. Before you cross the last bridge before you got to Kittletown. And they'd go down there and then they'd go up in the mountain. But boy, he had to go for miles. And Mom said, now get them dishes washed. Well, I was going to get ready to wash the dishes, and I had to go outside to do number 1. You know, that's what Ernie always says. And do number 2, you know, that's your bad job. And I went on the porch to do number 1. I heard something say, ooh, ooh, ooh. I went to bed. I didn't wash them dishes. Mom said, well, get them dishes washed like I told you? No, Mom, I didn't. She said, why? I said, well, I'll tell you. I heard something. Said, ooh, ooh. Mom said, oh, that's no hoot owl hollering.
Was that what it was? Or did you
Yeah.
ever find out?
Yeah, Hoot Owl.
Oh, Hoot Owl, yeah.
What about your grandma that stayed in bed? She was blind. Was that Paul Short's mom?
Yeah. My grandma Betty. Betty was her name. She was, I think, blind for about 30 years.
Oh,
What
was
was
she?
her maiden name?
I think she was a Cantrell. I used to think she was a Cisco, but she was related to the Ciscos, but I don't know how. And she laid in the bed 3 years before she died. See, she stayed with her son, Johnny, and they was walking her, holding her, walking her out up to the porch one day to sit, and she just sunk down. They heard something crack like they said. Legs get away. She never was able to walk no more.
And now, did she stay with Ma Short?
Yeah, she died at Mom's. See,
What
Johnny
happened
was,
to her husband?
he died.
Yep, how many years?
He died, Grandma died in 54. She lived to be 91 years old.
Now that was on your mom's side,
No,
on your
no.
Grandpa Short's,
Yeah,
Oh,
that
okay.
was, his name was Jim Short.
Jim Short.
Uh-huh.
Who was his mom and dad?
I never did find out. See, I think he was from Virginia. I don't know. Who?
And his name was Short, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, that was years and years ago. But see, Grandpa Short, he lived around the hill from Dad. But see, he first lived in the house. And somehow that he was supposed to live with somebody, I think Johnny or somebody.
That was his boy.
Yeah,
That was,
and they got everything he had. And I can remember Grandma had them big high bedboards that almost touched the top of that.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And they moved them out, and then they just ended up this and that. But he stayed with Uncle Johnny, and Uncle Johnny was mean to Grandma.
and that's your mom.
After Grandma died, Uncle Johnny was afraid the devil was after him for being mean to her. He couldn't even sleep at night.
Is that right?
That is right. Now, you can't be mean to old people, or anybody can't help themselves
Yeah.
and go to heaven.
Yeah.
No, he sure did.
And that was your mom's brother, Johnny.
No, Mom didn't have no brother Johnny. That was Dad's brother.
Oh, okay.
See, Mom only had Uncle George and Uncle Pat.
Yeah.
Then
Who was
she,
her mom?
I don't know, I counted back, she must have been, in her 20s or something. 30s maybe when she died, because she, I forget what year she died, but Mom was only 9 years old whenever she died. And Mom was the oldest kid.
Who raised them?
Mom helped her dad, and her dad never did marry. And I used see where Grandpa lived. He lived around from Dad, but he lived high on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
He lived high on the hill,
Yeah.
but it would be about even with Dad. You know, if you'd have to go up a little ways and around.
Yeah.
He lived in Jesse Moore's house and Bell.
He lived down up the holler from Paul.
No, he lived around the hill. See? You know where Dad lived. Then just like you was going out of the holler, he lived around, but he lived high on the hill. He didn't live right there. See, he used to own that below Dad. Him and Dad was joint. But you see, years ago, I think Uncle Johnny got him to, you know, do something, sell it or...
Deed it to him or something?
Yeah. And they moved out. But then Uncle Johnny done him wrong. And then they got him a place, see, that was their granddaughter. That's Aunt Nanny's Belle, married Jesse Moore.
Mm-hmm.
No, that was Dad's brother, Uncle Johnny. And Dad had a brother named Cleveland. Cleveland died years ago. Long time. Yep, that's the way it is, and
So which one of your grandmas was Indian? On which side?
my mom's. Yeah,
Her mom was Indian.
Cherokee. Or her mom's mother or some, but Indian blood. And I guess Faith's got a little Indian blood. But Hester used to be mean to me. See, she was almost 4 years old when I was born.
Is that right?
Yeah, she was. I was born the 15th of March, and she would have been 4 years old at 15th of May. Now, you talk about a licking, but I got it a many a time from her. She used to lie on me, too.
Is that right?
Yeah, she liked old sour buttermilk.
Yeah.
Whizzy, Whey. Mom go away. See, Mom kept them for the hogs, and she said, "Now I'm going to store your dad and I, and you have to eat. You just take and eat this kind of milk. Don't bother that." And she'd get into that. Until Mama hit her in the stomach. I didn't hit her in the stomach. She ate that old soured milk for the hogs.
Is that right?
And I got a whipping, too.
You were a lot younger than her.
Yeah. But I held her a good hand. Yeah, I was a lot younger than her. See, when I was a month old, she was 4 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't know what I had to go through with, and I used to like get out and hunt the hen nesties.
Yeah.
And I know whenever we lived out from Grandpa on this side, you know, before we moved up to the other place when they got it built, they was a hen cack, and the Hester was sitting Dad at the porch, and he had it banner stand, you know.
Mm-hmm.
There's only one way you could get out. And the Hester sitting right in the door in the rocking chair. Dad had us 2 red rocking chairs. Rocking away. I said, "Hester, let me out. Let me out. I want to go see where the hen is. I may find the hen nest." I used to carry the old lard bucket, you know, go gather the eggs. She wouldn't let me out, but you know what happened? I got out. Out she went too. I just up and sure enough went out.
Push her right out, huh?
Yes, indeedy. And she's dead and gone, but if I had it to do again, I'd do it again.
Yeah.
I don't regret anything I ever done or I ever said. I don't.
Well, you
Nothing.
know. Yeah. Well, you know, when you're growing up, you always fight with your brothers and sisters.
Yep.
It's just something natural. Yeah.
And then one time we was playing on the porch. Mom and, I got in a lot of trouble. And I got spankings. I'd rather for Mom to whip me than my dad. Ooh! When you got a whipping from him, you really got it. But we playing on the porch, and Mom had the chair, and I sat down on the porch, and she said, you know, she always tied a nice white rag on it and put a plate on it. And she had the plate that her dad had give her with a big rose in it, you know, sitting on top of that plate. She said, "Now I want to set the milk out of here. See, it was thick, ready to churn. Keep it turned around so it'll get warm. You know, you have to have milk certain before it make it better." We was playing on the porch and up at the churn.
Turn the churn over.
Yeah. Out come the milk, and we took her hands. We didn't know any better. Raked it up, you know, put what we could to the churn. Had to put a different plate. We broke the plate. Had to put a different plate on her. Mom, "Who done this?" "Oh, well, what happened?" Boy, we got a whipping for that.
Now, who was that? You and Hester?
Yeah, and I guess Bewley was in on it too.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm, I don't know. But you see, Grandpa, like I was going to say a while ago and didn't say it. Like my dad, you know, up here, and then you could go up from Dad's house a little ways. We always, when we went to Grandpa's, we always walked up and through the woods.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just, you know what woods is.
Yeah.
And to Grandpa's house. and Grandpa was living there, and he was up on the roof a-doing something, and he fell off. Well, in the back there's a lot of, we call them rocks. People in a high calls them stones. They're not more than old rocks to me. And he went to Elkhorn for something, you know, after he fell. And then he was up to the house, and he told Mom, and said, well, I walked to Elkhorn today, but that'll be my last time. Mom says, no, Jim says, we could have went to the store for you. He said it couldn't hardly make it. He died. He didn't die right then, but he died later.
Never went to Elkhorn again.
No. And hurt himself. Yeah. I can remember when Hyman was 4 years old. I was playing, Hyman always liked to play in the creek. And see, he had polio. And he was okay when Mama Short was going to Bell. See, Bell and Jessie lived way up the road from us. And she stopped the house, and Hyman wanted to go with her. Oh, he just begged and begged and said, no, said, you better stay here. Grandma hadn't no more been gone just a short while till Hyman just dropped over. Yeah, didn't know what happened, just dropped over. And Mom says, oh, Dorcie, run and get your grandma. So I run quite a ways to get Grandma. And Grandma said, why, that couldn't be so, said he was okay when I was there. I said, well, Grandma, we don't know whether he's dead or not. He lay 4 days and 4 nights and never spoke a word.
Is that right?
And never even moved.
In a coma, probably.
And Dad had a horse, and that was on a Sunday, and Dad rode the horse like to rode the poor horse to death. He rode him just as fast as he could ride him to town to get Dr. Deskins. Well, he rode the horse to Elkhorn. And he says, I really rode him. And the doctor rode him back to our house. Then the doctor rode him to Elkhorn. And then Dad rode him back. So you know that horse really went through. And he had polio. And the doctor said, don't feed him nothing. You know, said. The first thing he wanted when he come to himself, he wanted cornbread and buttermilk.
Did he?
But I don't think Mom gave him that right away, you know.
And he was, what, 4 years old, you say?
Yeah, he was 4 years old. I can remember that real good.
Well, was that the time when he laid and you guys didn't know if he...
Yeah.
You had to put a mirror up to his face?
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Tell Fate about that.
Well, that's whenever he laid. We didn't know where he dead or alive. There at the house, and people we had the office, people we had, don't get me wrong, it wasn't funny people, it's just neighbors coming in, you know, and
yeah, concerned.
Had to set up with him, you know. Didn't know. Didn't even know where he's dead or alive, just there.
Tell Fate the way you done the mirror.
Oh, I don't remember too much about that.
I thought you told me that you put a mirror up to him and, you know, and when, you know, he did breathe,
Yeah.
there'd be moisture on the mirror.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, you know, Cheryl, I went through a lot. You know. Yeah.
What you up to?
Yeah, that's the way it is.
I'm going to my bike now.
Yeah. How'd you get around most of the time back there?
Walked.
Walked? That's a long walk down to Elkhorn.
Well, I used to walk.
Taking me.
I like to go to Elkhorn in a way, but that was when the old road was there. See right there, you go across the bridge. You made a new road, you know. The old road. Do you remember where the big nice house sits over in the bottom? before you get to Kettle County.
Yeah.
The last house, I don't know how they built down there now, but it sits kinda back in the bottom.
Where's we knew yesterday?
And, just, you
Oh,
know,
no, she
didn't
didn't.
go down the road that
I
way, you went
remember
around
she
the
wrote it
hill.
down.
Hey, Emmy, I'm talking, around like that.
Uh-huh.
And then you go around there so far, then you go back this way, and then back around. Well, there was no coal bank back in there, and I was afraid of that. And then most of the time I'd cut down and go across and miss that. But where I didn't like is going to Ashcamp. And they had, Mom never would use nothing but just coarse salt. Coarse salt. And she'd send me to Ashcamp every time she got all the salt till they got it in down Delphorn. And you talk about somebody being afraid to go to the store, that was 4 miles and a half. And they was long ways, no houses. And Dad one time was up for someplace on a Sunday on his horse, and there was some guy throwed rocks at him. Now this wasn't no boy, his name was Roll Mays. And there was 2 houses. It was Jackson's Branch is where it was, and there was 2 houses, and one was on the right. So you kind of go around like this, and then you go up Jackson's Branch. There's one house right there, and then you go on a little bit, and one on the left. I went by there one day, and both of them houses was a burning down. I said to myself, I bet you somebody's around. They said to them, I said it to myself, and they're around to watching, see if it burns clear down. I didn't see nobody, but, and then you go on around, and there was a big rock there, up like this. You could just step down in there and get back behind it, and nobody'd never see you. And the road went so far, and they was, my kids lived out, way back out in the bottom. And that was time whenever I passed that man, Lum Stone. And he had a bunch of clothes around his neck. And I was coming home, and he was going the other way. I was walking, and after I saw him, I went that way. He said, hey, little girl, said, don't be afraid, I won't hurt you. But see, after that, he got to coming to Dad's house.